thanks. Yeah, thank you for being here today. And just before we begin, I invite us to pause for a moment. I know all of you were in a various room today, so I would invite you to take a slow, deep breath in and out. And as we breathe in, I want you to tell to yourself that I arrive. And as you breathe out, I invite you to think I make space for others. Thanks again. Today's conversation is about volunteer engagement, belonging, and the condition we create within our organization and communities. This session is not about perfection or to blame. It's about reflection, responsibility, reimagining system with dignity and care. So just before we start the conversation again, I would invite all of you to um, like reflect on one of these. Like you can think of like it is an ice-breaking question or reflection. I would like to like reflect on that this statement and feel this statement that I belong because dot dot dot. I belong. For example, I belong because I exist. And what is your response? You can use your mic. Please, I would love to hear my voice. I don't want this to be like conversation one side. So, yeah, feel free to use your mic and chat function as well. Any response? Victoria, do you see any responses?
Not yet. Maybe we're still waking up.
Yeah,
I
not yet.
belong. I belong because I matter.
Great. Yes, I matter, of course.
I think this is a very reflective question. It involves a lot of thinking at that. So,
Okay. Okay, let's move on. It could take some time, but yeah, you can like jump on anytime you want. But let's try our go with our content in our next slide. So, volunteer engagement plays an important role within our community. Volunteer contribute time, care, relationship skills, and lived experience. Also, those time, relationship, care skills add value to the organization, which is enhancing capacity. And literally, volunteers are if you put all things together, add them, it is that volunteers are contributing money and capacity to the organization. But also, some people look for, through the volunteering, they look for connection, belonging, purpose, and community. For newcomers, especially, volunteer space are often one of the first place people try to build relationship and feel connected with a new society. Yet, some volunteer system unintentionally create barriers instead of belonging. So I would like to ask one of other question, and feel free to use chat function or mic. Please use your voice because I would love to hear your voice. Um, in this question, what do you think people are truly looking for when they volunteer beyond simple helping out? What do you think people truly looking for when they volunteer beyond simply helping out? Any thoughts? Any reflect connection? Yes, I can see someone wrote Elisa. Yes, connection for sure. Exercise. Yeah, interesting one. Would you elaborate on exercise? Existence or
I think just getting out of their house and doing things with their body.
right. Yeah, moving. Yes. Yeah, that's true. For me, as newcomer, it's purely to get convert Canadian work experience. Oh gosh, yes. Yes, you nailed it. Yes. 100%. Thanks for your response. Yeah, if I am not, I mean, I'm juggling with my computer things here and there, but yeah, okay. Reflection, experience. Yes, yeah, some of those are some great examples. Thanks for sharing.
And I think one thing is also to find or create a sense of belonging. That is a way to find people who are like-minded and to find a space to feel like, oh, I belong, or I'm with people, like I'm in a place where I can feel like I'm a part of that community as well.
Unity. Yes, it's yeah, you nailed it. That's 100%. So that's why our conversation today is belonging first, right? I cannot see your who was talking? Was it Veronica? Victoria,
It's
sorry.
Victoria.
Oh, sorry. I keep telling you, Veronica. My daughter's best friend is Veronica. So anyway, sorry. Also, now let's move on to our next slide, which is a little more of interactive exercise. Yes, I would love to hear your voice in this slide. Yeah. So think of a time when you truly feel you belong. Describe what that experience was like and what made you feel that you belonged. What are the quality of that feeling? What are the elements of belonging? That's where I'm hoping to uh, explore now. Do I need more further explanation or you guys are okay? Yeah. What are, yeah, able to be myself and not to shape myself by the group. Yes. Not conforming. Yeah. You want to be yourself. Yes. That is 100%. Thank you for sharing that. Please, some of you use mic.
Hi, Jeff speaking.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was invited out by my neighbor to a men's group, and it was a good gathering. We just talk about more than what's the weather, and more than just the gathering, it taught me that as nice as it is to receive a service or a gift, it's actually very gratifying to host something and give back to people. I think it's a lot. You gain a lot more than actually receiving something.
Yes. Yes, 100%. That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing your experience, Jeff. It's wonderful. Yeah, absolutely. Anyone else would like to share? Um, okay, so I was, yeah, like belonging really, like if you think of a belonging and it feels to me, it is not, it can be an outcome. It is the condition. And belonging means I'm a mother of a 4 years old and I never think that way before, but I think as a parent we accept our kids the way they are, even they are cute, they are chubby or not, or whatever it is that they exist, they are, yeah, that's why they belong and that's why they are loved and cared. It can be a condition to um be belong for some, it's not an outcome. It's like if you want to feel cold, you need to go out in the winter, so the condition make you feel something. If you want to feel hot, you have to go to Mexico under the sun, right? So this is how I want to phrase like frame the belonging sense is that it needs to be given. And especially for volunteering, what we are saying, like people contribute to the organization and the reason they believe in, and they want connection, they want network, they want care. So they're already contributing to something. And as a result, they should receive something even before. So that's why we are telling it is a belonging. So for an organization, we have that responsibility. Organization has to like come first. So let's move on to our next slide. So let's talk about this iceberg. Belonging, as I said, is not an outcome; it's a condition. So often in the tip of the iceberg, organization focus on recruitment, participation, diversity, retention. But belonging asks a deeper questions, which is what conditions are we creating before people's participation even begin? So for many indigenous, Black and racialized and newcomer volunteers, volunteer space can sometimes feel welcoming on the surface while deeper barriers still exist underneath. This is why I want to introduce this iceberg image is that what we see on the surface is often only a small part of the story. Underneath, visible experience are systems, expectations, assumptions, and organizational norms that shapes whether people if they are truly belong or not. So I would love for you to respond to this question. What are some things organization may notice on the surface but not fully understand underneath? Look, in the surface, what are some things that organization may see, but not in the underneath? As I say, it could be like that retention. We are not having enough volunteers, not being able to experience diverse, invite more diverse skill set that we need for that organization. This could be something.
I think I can share to this, and I think I had a conversation with Tristan. I believe he's in the other group. He would have been here to have this conversation. I think I like this conversation because one of the things that mostly on the surface level, it becomes a bit performative because you're presenting like a CV or something along the lines to show that, hey, I can fit this role. But in terms looking at how you fit into the company culture. That is what is below the surface and the iceberg. Like I'm looking the patterns, the structures, the mental modes. Like, do you fit in that? And that becomes what sometimes unearths, and you're like, I don't fit in here, or I do not belong in here because of the cultures and all the things that come along with it as well.
Exactly. So these are not even in the surface. It's in between, right? It is in between the line. And it is so hard when we don't see and experience, when we cannot articulate what it is. So let's move on to our next slide. In the next slide, we will explore this iceberg more deeper together. So this model really helps us to move beyond the surface and create an understanding on what are the top of the iceberg and what are the pattern, what are the events. So at the top of the iceberg, which is very visible experience, organization often notice first, which is low retention, onboarding challenges, lack of diversity, conflict, or volunteer disengaging. And these are visible events, so on the top of the iceberg. But underneath the surface are deeper layers, shaping those outcomes. For example, patterns that keep repeating. Like, what is happening? Is it like repeating? Is it like continuously happening over and over? Organizational practice and structures, and unspoken assumption about who belongs or who is considered a good fit. Sometimes exclusion is not loud or intentional. It can quietly exist within policies, languages, expectations, communication style, and organizational culture. Now, I would invite you to reflect on this question. What keeps repeating in volunteer system that organization may normalize? They feel this is the way of doing and being. Or what assumptions do organizations sometimes make about who is a good volunteer? I'd like to give you some moments to reflect on this piece. Yeah, anyone would like to use the mic, please? Okay, let's warm up a little bit. Let's watch a video. And before I continue, I want to invite us to a short reflective exercise through this video. And I would like to think of that system are not only policy and procedure. They are also human experience. As you watch, I would like to reflect on what condition do system create for people who feel seen, valued, respected, and able to belong. And we created this video through an spoken word. So it was a survey that we created. We did a survey with volunteers, and they shared what we use the statement from the volunteers who says their experience for newcomers volunteer experience. So yeah, you see my okay. Let me stop for a second again. Yeah, bear with me. Multiply by 0. Yeah. Okay. Just give me a second. Do you see my screen? You see my screen?
So that's popping up now.
Yeah. And let me see. Hear the volume?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, let us watch it.
When I immigrated, someone once said, "We multiply by 0, not add, not subtract, multiply. Our network 0, our reputation 0, our confidence 0. Before I came here, I was a journalist. I was a doctor. I was an engineer. I was. See, I can use tense. That is past. I toured other countries as a guest artist. People invite me to speak. I am someone who cannot communicate well enough, and somehow that becomes not capable enough. Strange, because I passed IELTS, listening, reading, writing, speaking. I proved my English in English for immigration. I proved my degree, my work history, my competent. I even passed a federal criminal background check, international, extensive, through the kind that review your life across borders. But when I try to volunteer, I need a local police clearance because apparently a global background check does not transfer to the community center. My driving license also is 0. Now, maybe you understand the power of 0. I don't know where to find opportunities. I don't have Canadian reference. Of course I don't. My reference are in another country, and between the line, I hear my skill are not valued. My experience doesn't count. I did not feel welcome. Yes, bias. Sometimes unintentional, other often embedded in process. We are told Canada needs skilled immigrant. We arrived skilled. Then we are told you need a Canadian experience to volunteer to gain Canadian experience. A circle, a polite circle, well-designed circle, a system that welcomes talent but delay belonging. So we must ask, who was the system built for? Who moved through it easily? And who has to multiply by 0? But here is the truth. I refuse to multiply by 0 because I know the power of 0. Put it beside a 1, it becomes 10. I am not nothing. I am a double digit. I lived a whole life in another country you may never visit. I speak a language you may never understand, but I understand you even when you do not say I don't belong here. So, let's speak a language we all understand, where our contribution matter, where experience travel, because the question is not, do you have a Canadian experience? The question is, are we ready to experience Canada differently?
Hey, sorry. Okay. Can you hear my voice? Okay. Sorry, my thing was going on and on. Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, I would love to hear any reflection or any thoughts when you were like, how was it like? Would anyone want to share?
Nitu, I will share this Victoria again if you cannot see me. One of the things that the video when I was
Tiffany, it is so easy to add an asset map competent on your volunteer intake or interest. Yeah, would you like to elaborate on that, Stephanie?
Victoria can speak first because she was already going here.
okay. Nitu, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Victoria.
Oh, okay,
Can
great.
you
Therefore,
hear Victoria speaking?
I'm having a
Nitu,
hard
can you
time
hear me?
monitoring this. Chat is good volunteer. Having this conversation is some of okay.
Can Nitu not hear the conversation here?
Nitu, can you
Very
hear us?
interesting. You
I
are
don't think
mute. I cannot hear you.
Nitu, can you
Is
hear
it
us?
because of? Okay, just give me a second. Yeah, can you talk?
Can you hear us?
Yeah. No. Yes. Sorry. I
That's
mute.
fine. Yeah, I think, yeah, you went off. I was saying that one of the things that stood out for me in the video that you shared is that individuals seem to adapt, but sometimes the organizations have not adapted to like changes. So, in as much as we are coming with experiences, there's not been a lot of training on diversity, like the systems at the top or the engagement. Like, a lot of people are coming in. How do we also engage with them in a way that is truly meaningful? So that's all I wanted to share from the video. Like it's always individuals have to shift, but also sometimes company culture doesn't change. And then you seem to be like a square peg in a round hole. Like you don't fit no matter how often you change.
Yes, it's exactly. Thank you for sharing. That's 100%. Like even like last few years, we had a really great raise on EDI cultural competent from the through the workplace, but really not shift anything or even conversation on volunteer engagement. We kind of have like some sort of even conversation on like how to include people from diverse background, workplace, but not volunteer space anymore. But this is something very crucial. So yes, thank you for sharing that. And Stephanie says if someone is not getting valued out of the position because it does connected to their skills area. Oh man.
That was in connection to your previous question, which was what assumptions do organizations sometimes make about who is a good volunteer?
Okay.
And a big one that's common is that if somebody's not reliably connecting or engaging, they may be considered a bad volunteer when, in fact, the organization maybe hasn't done the work to figure out why they're not engaging or connecting. And there could be a variety of different reasons why that person might be appearing flaky on the surface. It could be, their timing is wrong, or their life has shifted, or they're placed in a position not suitable for them, or they're struggling commuting to a space, or they have family responsibilities, right? Like there's a variety of different reasons that maybe the volunteer supervisor hasn't dived into. So then Victoria and I were just having that follow-up conversation about how you're ensuring you're reflecting on the value you're giving in the position. Is it connecting to folks' skills and areas they want to develop, what they're passionate about, and then as well being able to do those asset map components when you do your intakes, so that you can really dive into what is valuable for them, and scheduling those regular follow-ups to ensure that things are still the same and elements haven't changed over time.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. It's really thoughtful, and like you really give us very great insight in this reflection. Thanks for sharing, Stephanie. Yeah, anything from this video that stayed with you, or any emotional reflection maybe came up? I know one of our participants is volunteer, like the newcomers. If they can share something, I'd love to hear their voice as well. Also, what system or assumption did the video make you think about? If you would like to, if anyone wants to share. Yeah, Victoria shared. I love the follow-up component because most people do not share. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, 100%, yes. Okay, is it very triggering? Because yeah, sometimes when I play this video, room goes silent, and I feel it feels like it was very triggering. So I just want to make sure that like it was not that like emotional, but yeah, if we want to move on, we can. But yeah. Okay, let's move on to our next slide. So now I invite us to think. Oh, Stephanie also says, I typically like to follow up with my volunteers every 6 to 12 months to ensure we are still on the, yes, let me read the project. Yeah. The same page or sooner their project base. Yes. Follow-ups are crucial for sure. Okay, let's move on to our next slide. So now I would like to invite us to think that reflection. Where do barriers to belong shows up? As you reflect, I would like to think of these like phases, and Just think about those visible experience, repeating patterns, organizational structure, and hidden assumption. You can use again chat function to make things like, event could be the microaggression or tokenism or accent bias. Even I hear some people, there's both are speaking English, but someone has thick English. They're trying like accent, like, because their vocal cord is not trained with English language. So they have the way of saying, even though they are using English, they can say, I cannot understand English. Are you speaking English? Which is, yeah, they're trying. Yes, the people who is speaking second language, he's trying or they are trying, but are we trying enough? So, and then the pattern could be racialized volunteers leaving, lack of leadership diversity, like who really see that is a problem and why even not even leaving. How many racialized volunteers do we have? That could be some pattern. And then structure, screening process, unpaid expectations, and professionalism. We unpaid expect. Let me unpack with that. In like we can go on all those three components, but let me just go unpaid expectations, which is volunteerism. They are not paid. This is why it's called volunteers, but also a lot of indigenous, Black, and racialized community, they have to work twice as or three as harder to prove to get like same result or maybe 80% of the outcome in their workplace. So they are also trying overworking in their workspace. So when they volunteer, this is really like tough. This is really something I would say we need to be very crucial. Is it exploitation or it's volunteerism? And then, which layer the IBT organization usually focus on? Yes. Which layer hardest things to challenge? We can think about those questions. And the mental model is which is a good fit, assumption about communication, and the gold question is Canadian experience. Do you have Canadian experience to volunteer? So I would say to go back to the previous slide, Victoria. Yeah, thank you. So let's think about this question, those questions that Victoria posted in that which layer of this iceberg do organization usually focus on? Which layer is hardest to change? And what happened when organization only address the visible events? You can say 1, 2, 3, or like event mental model or structure, but these are something that we can think about. Let's go to the next slide. Thank you. Yeah. Next slide, please. Yeah. So one of the things that came up for often in volunteer engagement is Canadian experience. And one hidden barrier beneath the surface of many systems is that this is one, the Canadian experience. And often unintentionally, organizations communicate that experience gained outside Canada is less valuable or less legitimate. This can affect confident participation, access, and belonging. For many newcomer, volunteering become a way to try proving worthless or worthiness or legitimacy. But belonging should not require people to erase or minimize their experience they already carry. So as we see this slide, I would like you to think what message might organization unintentionally communicate through expectations like Canadian experience. Anyone? So this invites us to reflect on whose experience are valued within the system, right? So let's move to our next slide. let's talk about that equity-based language. So language shapes culture. The word organization use every day can either strengthen belonging or quietly reinforce exclusion. Words like professionalism, articulation, good communication, or good fit may sound neutral, but they are often interpreted through dominant culture norms. So, as you see this slide, I would like to think what are some common words or phrase organization use that may unintentionally exclude people. And I would say sometimes small language shift can create significant shifts in belonging. So when we say professionalism, good fit, articulation, and professionalism, what that really means. And we always compare with one another, right? With like either or. We don't see anything in between. So in our next slide, we are talking about on cultural fit or cultural filter. Next slide, please, Victoria. So many organizations value cultural fit, but this idea can unintentionally reinforce sameness. Sorry, reinforce sameness. When organization says they are not the right fit, we can pause and ask, fit for whom? Based on whose norms? Based on like whose communication style and whose expectations? As Stephanie also said, yeah. Yeah, let's say, yeah, the typical LA follow-up with, sorry, which layer of this iceberg organization? Oh man, yeah, advisory panel volunteer, they are tokenized as responsibility group people advising without driving deeper. Yeah, intention. Yeah, 100%. I also see this happening in bigger organization, even government organizations. So yeah, you are so right in this. Yeah, thank you for sharing. And yeah, advisory panel, 100%. And then I love that to attend this session in person, lots of invention. I just reflected for all of that. It's amazing. Oh, that's okay. Thank you so much. Yeah. Yes, I really prefer the in-person one because I know this can be hard and it is not an easy conversation. And yeah, I would love like I the way it was designed for more like small group conversation, but this is think of something instead like wine tasting. Instead, a deeper conversation, but we're just trying. So, a belonging first approach value difference as a strength instead of asking people assimilate. And yeah, that's what the feel belonging first should like practice because we don't want to people should not be again shrink or cut them short or sell them short because of who they are and that experience is very valued that are very they have to work hard to become who they are today and they are valued when they came to Canada for the same reason. But yeah, awesome, thank you so much. And let's move on to the next slide. So now let's try to reimagine volunteer engagement. So, a belonging first approach asks organization to move beyond inclusion alone. It invites us to think about dignity, respect, safety, accessibility, and shared humility. Belonging is created through system, practice, language, leadership, and everyday interaction. A belonging first organization might begin by reviewing onboarding language and rethink about ideas of fit, valuing lived experience, creating mentorship pathway, improving accessibility, and opening leadership opportunity for diverse volunteer. These changes may seem small, but they shape the conditions people experience when they enter a space. So one of the question that I would love to ask you that What is one condition of belonging organization could strengthen within volunteer engagement? What one condition can organization create for to strengthen volunteer engagement? Also, I think mental health is impact immigrant volunteer including the session. Yes, trust 100%. Alberta, yeah, volunteer Alberta, Erin, yeah, true. Can some people like use their mic? I am having hard time to like watching.
That's fine. I think not treating volunteers as like a checkbox. Oh,
Right.
we need 100 volunteers. Let's just check them. But with intentionality, right? It's not like, oh, we need 100 volunteers for this event, and any and everybody is something that we have to gather and then. But being intentional about the recruitment, about even practicing care and aftercare, like debriefing with volunteers, there should be some level of intentionality to the people you're inviting to support the work that you're doing in community, not seeing volunteers as, oh, there are people that need us, but it should be seen as a collaborative experience. We need volunteers because volunteers bring something valuable. So seeing
Yes.
it as a collaborative experience should be something that, yeah,
Yeah,
can
that's
change it as well.
yeah,
Go ahead.
and those change doesn't often need huge policy changes, right? It is on our like volunteer manager and engagement, like the capacity. Yes, Stephanie, thank you.
Building on that idea of value that Victoria just mentioned, switching the narrative from what value are these volunteers bringing for me to what value are we bringing for these volunteers? And how do we keep that intentionally at the top of our mind so that we're continuing to build out initiatives, systems, programs, even recognition, letters of reference, all of those different pieces that can bring value to the volunteer as opposed to just using them for
Mm-hmm.
basically unpaid labor, right?
Yeah. Yeah, awesome. Thank you. Yeah, and that is so much that we can do even without like changing policy or asking our supervisor permission, right? Like follow-up emails. And one of the conversation that I was in part of that they're saying, like sometime, like, in their like, do you know their birthday? If you know that, send them a birthday wish message. Like that volunteer would be super happy to see someone like they volunteered. They like looking forward to deep discussion in person session. Awesome. Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, birthday. And do you know that the celebration, cultural celebration that they are like engaged in, not all, everybody are Christian or celebrate Christmas, but do you know those kind of thing? If you know, then you can just send an email. Like that is not about like that is not linked with the volunteer or the work that did, but it is beyond the work, beyond you see them as a human, you value them as for their being, and that is belonging. That creates a sense of belong, connection, and like network, and that goes above and beyond. Yeah, thank you. And does anyone else would love to like to share? Like we are at the end, so almost. Yeah, so now I want all of you to share. You must have. I'm kidding, but yeah, as we close, I invite you to reflect on one final question. What is one thing you are taking with you from today's conversation? Just chat one thing that it could be then, oh my God, this is too much. I cannot like, digest all that. It could be, this could be it too. So yeah, I'd like to hear some voice, or is that something that you have thought before, or is it even like, does it sound like reasonable, or does it sound even doable? Yeah, I think we talked about this condition, but let's just think about what is one thing that you really uh, are taking from this conversation? Rethink our volunteer engagement strategy. Yes, beautiful. Thank you, Elise.
Being intentional with engaging volunteers.
Yeah, being engaged, intentional in engaging volunteers, of course. Yeah, especially if you are working with Indigenous, Black, and racialist communities, newcomers, it could be exploitation. So it is really, I know that that is not our intention for sure, and even not, it is the intention for our organization. But if we don't give back to something that is meaningful, and that is something like build connection, or maybe their like goal, in a way, it can fall that deeper slope. So we don't want that. Yeah, so belonging first work is not about perfection. It's about intentionality that Victoria just mentioned. Volunteer engagement has the potential to become a space, dignity, connection, healing, and shared humanity. But that only happens when belonging is treated not as an outcome, but a condition. And I just saw that Anna, personal connection with volunteer can allow you to see how their individual goals, gifts. Yeah, that's true. Let me read those comments. It's awesome. Yeah, individual goals, gifts outside of work with the perishable system, 100%. And Ling says the most effective volunteer program often recognize that volunteers are not just donating time, they are seeking seeking connection, purpose, growth, and sense of contribution. 100%, Ling. 100%. Thank you. Thanks everyone for being here with us. And yeah, I am here until like, a few minutes if you want to debrief. I know this can be a lot, but if you have any other question, like without like, in this space, I'm here just to let us breathe for 2 minutes maybe and process this together.